Shalom, it's No Limit Eddie back with another video. You saw the thumbnail and you also saw the title, alright? Today I'm reacting to a Brittany in Africa's video entitled, Why Did She Leave Zanzibar? So if you're thinking about moving to Tanzania, this is the perfect video for you to watch. I am a 22-year-old American who moved to Africa 1 year ago, and on my channel I share my thoughts and experiences with you with the hopes of making your transition from America to Africa as smooth as possible. If that sounds cool to you, then subscribe to the channel. Also, you have to leave a like on today's video because it helps this channel grow a ton. Before we get started into today's video, big shout out to Brittany in Africa and Beauty is Universal. Brittany, if you're watching this, don't copyright me. I have you tagged in the description of today's video. Also, Beauty is Universal. I would have tagged you, but you need at least 1,000 subscribers to make that pop up. So instead, I'm just going to leave the link to your website in the description of today's video. Quick background on the story, okay? Beauty is Universal shared her thoughts basically about why she ended up leaving Zanzibar. Zanzibar, if you don't know, is like a semi-autonomous island attached to Tanzania. So it's part of the Tanzanian country, but it's also separated to some extent. But either way, I lived in Tanzania for 6 months, and I think that this could be very helpful for you if you're thinking about moving to Tanzania. Tanzania is kind of like candy, right? If somebody tells you candy is sweet, candy is tasty, candy makes celebrations more fun. If you go to a kid's party and you don't see candy, it's not a kid's party anymore. So candy is cool, candy is dope, it's amazing. Just like Tanzania, it is beautiful. You know, the people are amazing, the fruits are amazing, the land is very blessed, right? The weather is nice. However, if you love someone, right? You say I have a son, let's say I had a son, right? I would tell him, yo, candy is good, candy is this, candy is that. But at the same time, you also have to tell them, like, you can't eat too much candy. You also have to eat vegetables and things like that, because if you eat too much candy and that's all you eat, you're going to get diabetes, you're going to get high blood pressure, you're going to get cavities, you're going to get all kinds of things like that. The same way I would teach my son, yeah, you can eat candy, eat it, but at the same time be mindful and eat it in moderation. It's the same way I would teach my people, like, Tanzania is amazing, Tanzania is great, but there's also other things that come along with it, right? There's not just an infinite amount of good and no bad. There's still bad that comes along with it. And there's a lot of people who are on YouTube telling you that Tanzania is amazing. And so I don't have to reiterate that. I agree with it. Tanzania is amazing. But when it comes to relocating, I like to give people the full picture of it. And so I kind of don't mind painting a picture of it is amazing, but be mindful of this. Yes, candy is good, sweet, nice. However, you could get diabetes, high blood pressure, you know, cavities, things like that. So that's kind of my perspective on it.
Be real, there's only so much we can share on YouTube, right? But I came on a tourist visa for, they gave me like, I think it was 90 days. You can apply for extensions. They are supposed to be free, okay? What
people want favors on the way.
Okay, so what happened to me in Zanzibar? Ultimately, I went to get an extension. And at the end of the day, when I went back to get my extension, they didn't like the way I was dressed. People kept telling me, you can wear it. And the guy who was stamping passports was not feeling it. And he was an older gentleman. And he gave me basically 2 days to leave the country.
Our people, black people, are so expressive, okay? So you can get a lot from this clip by the things that were said and by the things that were not said, right? Verbally, but rather with body language. So you can see how she said it's supposed to be free. And then she went, right? That's because one of the things that you should be mindful of when you go to like Tanzania or a lot of other, let's say, countries I think in sub-Saharan, but I know Tanzania in particular, while there are laws on the book, just because the law is on the book doesn't mean that that law is actually being followed. And so a lot of times you hear people preface, it's supposed to be, or it should be, or this is what the law is. But just because the law is that doesn't mean that it's followed the way that it is supposed to be followed, I guess you can say. Brittany in Africa said Brittany has lived in Ghana. She's right now living in Kenya. So, you know, like, oh, they want favors on the way. People kind of already expect some level of corruption, I guess you can say, or some level of bribery. And it depends on who you're in front of that particular day. Family, this is why I have to preface it. Like I said, like if I had a son, I would tell him, you can eat candy, but do it in moderation. So the same way I would love my son and tell him that, I have to tell you that if you're gonna try to move with an entire family and you can just go to the immigration office and the immigration officer you get just doesn't like you, like she said in this case, he simply didn't like the fact that she had a hat on and he decided to give her, only 2 days to be able to get everything she needed and lead the whole country, right? So I could never advise anybody of my nation to say, go over there, move with your whole family, sell your whole life belongings, go to this country, and they can shade you like that, slice you like that, without a care, without a care, you know what I mean? And to say, so what? Get out the country in 2 days, so on and so forth, simply because she was dressed in a manner that the man deemed inappropriate, which it may have been inappropriate in Tanzanian culture. So I can't say that he was wrong or she was wrong or anybody was wrong on that. But I am just saying that there's so many variables that go into your success or failure in Tanzania that this is why I don't recommend it as the most prime location to relocate to, but rather to visit, definitely.
Like when you go for your extensions or when they see that you've been here multiple times, because I've been told, like at the border, you've been here too long, don't come back. I was like,
Dang, y'all don't like tourism?
Yo, so,
That's rude.
Once you get into.
All right. I want to do this really quick. Whenever people find out that I'm 22 and I moved to Africa a year ago, they always want to know, how the heck do you support yourself? How do you sustain yourself? Like, it doesn't make sense financially. Exactly. So if that's you, if you're curious about how I make money, your best bet is to click the link in the description. Go over to that website. I have a course teaching you guys how to sell on a platform called Etsy. All right. If you're interested in the opportunity, click on the link and enroll. If you just want to be nosy, click on the link and check it out. All right. Either way, the link's in the description. Click on it if you're curious about how to make money while overseas in Africa. All right. Let's get back into the video.
To a country, you start asking around and you start, getting your connections so that you don't have to deal with that.
All right, so that clip right there, great clip. Like I said, I really enjoyed these portions of the interview. Shout out to Brilliant Africa and Beauty Universal once again. So you can see here in this clip right here that Brittany says, "Dang, you don't like tourism?" And one of the ways that you do feel, especially when I was going to the government office, when I went for my first extension while I was in Tanzania, was very unwelcome. You know what I mean? As a kid, my mom would always tell me, like, don't bring your own don't bring your own chair to the party. And a lot of times you can almost begin to feel like you're unwelcome, or you can begin to feel like you're not necessarily wanted within that country. And so when you feel a little bit like a real resistance, it does kind of sting quite a bit, especially when you receive resistance from people that look like you. It definitely does sting quite a bit. And so one of those things that I know kind of happens a lot when you are over in those countries is that if you feel unwelcome, you kind of just like, you kind of got to determine if you want to stay or you don't want to stay. If you want to really fight to stay in a place where they're actively saying they kind of don't want you, or do you want to just go somewhere where you're going to be a little bit more warm received, a little more welcome? Now, when I was leaving Tanzania to come over to Egypt, they literally would not let me, leave the checkout counter until I produced a ticket of my flight back to the United States. So it's like I don't know if it's just with everybody, but of course, with me being an African American, I'm always going to assume maybe it's because I'm African American, that they just don't believe that we can be tourists, you know what I mean, or what it is. But if I wanted to leave Tanzania and go to Egypt, and leave Egypt and go to Ethiopia, and then leave Ethiopia and go to the Gambia, then why would you force me to have a ticket back to the United States, right? Luckily, like I said, I was warned ahead of time that this was the case, so I was able to prepare what I needed to prepare. But when I was in Tanzania, in a lot of ways, as you can see within this interview, the undertone of this interview as well, you have to live a little bit more, like this. Like she said, you gotta, at some point when you kind of experience that thing with the government office, you don't want to go back to a government office. So you start finding connections. And those connections allow you to avoid government offices and different things like that. But it does come to a point of like, do you want to live like that? For me, I already live so stressed in the United States that I don't want to be stressed in a foreign country, like nervous if I get around certain people, or nervous when certain questions are brought up or different things like that. I don't want to live like that anymore, right? Just try to force myself to stay in a place where the vibration is that we don't necessarily, not the people, but more so the government, we don't necessarily want you here, right? And so with that being said, and with that being stated, now of course there may be some people who have an argument that you're on a tourist visa, so you're supposed to be touring, you're supposed to explore different places and different things like that, which I agree with, which is why when I was in Tanzania, I tried to go for a student visa and get that process. But one thing that they wouldn't allow me to get it processed. You know, they put roadblocks in my way. I know people who had different passports than the U.S. passport, and they were granted a student visa for the 2 years. Now, people who had the U.S. passport that happened to be black were not granted. I got a whole video about the school thing. Were not granted. You know, the 2 years, barely, they try to give us nothing at first. You know, I got so many stories about that process of getting a visa in TZ, but I share one of them. So click that link and watch that video if you want to. But at the same time, even when you try to do the other routes and other routes, they put more obstacles in your way to continuously prevent you from being able to live and operate the way you want to operate. So a lot of times you have to operate outside of the law, which I said is very easy to do. Like I said, the corruption in these countries, like a law on the book doesn't mean a law in reality. So you can bribe your way into anything and out of anything when you're in a country like Tanzania, but it goes both ways, as we want to see in the next couple of clips, that yes, bribery is cool in some instances, but it's not cool in other instances.
In Zanzibar, I had some rough days trying to negotiate transport because I didn't have transport, and you don't need a lot to survive there. So if you don't match your taxi's price, the price that he asked, he gonna go back to playing whatever game with his friends, go back to sleep. And so like I was paying so much money just to get around, like US prices just to get around.
With this being said, shout out to TNT with Mike and Jazz. So TNT, when I was in Tanzania, I got a group of subscribers, one of which was TNT with Mike and Jazz, and they were watching me for months and months and months and listening to all the advice I gave them about TZ and things like that. And they probably did go to Tanzania. And so when they were there, you know, like I have their WhatsApp and things like that. We're just communicating and things. And I was letting them know the negotiation is serious business. Like the bajajis, what I would normally take, are serious business. Like, you know, they will scam you. They will scam you really quickly. And you need to be mindful of that. And so, you know, we had multiple conversations. Like when they first got there, they were getting taxed over the head for the bajajis. And it got to the point where once I kind of gave them the game, like go into the boat app, get the price, and then do it like this, that the drivers who were scamming them before would not drive them unless they got an outrageous price for the ride. And so one of the things in TZ is, like you said, it doesn't cost that much to live there. And so people will let money walk. They have no problem. They would rather have no money than a little money, right? It's an interesting concept, but that's how it is. And so the negotiation there is not too open. In Egypt, like I got this Palm Angel jacket on right now, right? I'll go into a store and I negotiate for it. It may start off with $70. I'll leave the store with it for $15. You know what I mean? In Egyptian pounds. But I will negotiate here, and people in Egypt will not let money leave that door. They rather have a little than to have nothing. And so it makes negotiating here so much more fun. I got a lot of negotiating videos on my channel, and so click up there and watch one of them. They're pretty fun to watch. People seem to like them. And so, you know, that is one of the things that you need to be mindful of as well. The one experience most people don't calculate too much. Transport costs a lot of money, and it adds up very quickly on the behalf of this. Tanzania is a very spaced out land, a very spaced out place. Zanzibar is even worse because Zanzibar only has taxis, no Uber, no boat. So with that being said, the mainland of Tanzania is so spaced out. So if I want to go to a grocery store, that may be 20 minutes out, and I got to come back. If I want to go to eat at a little mall, that's another 20 minutes out, 30 minutes out, and then come back. So it is very, very spaced out as the land as a whole. And so transport is one of your biggest, it was definitely one of my biggest expenses, even more expensive than food in Tanzania, was transport. I would say if you can, get a motorcycle, get a moped, or get a car when you do land there. That's going to make your life a lot easier. You may spend more money up front, but you're going to save it in the long run.
I had rough days there. Yeah. And, you know, being a woman and dealing with the fact that, you know, they're not really respecting me here.
Yeah.
I ended up renting a scooter to get around, and I got stopped like 7 times because they wanted bribes. But I wasn't cognizant enough to know, like, and finally, like this guy literally like asked me for money, the police. And he was just like, all right, well, you know, I could seize your bike and you can meet me at the courthouse tomorrow. And I was like, well, dang.
Have you dealt with that in Nairobi yet?
No, ma'am.
the corruption, like I said, bribery works is a two-way street, guys. It's a two-way street. And so once you get started in a bribery scape, it's kind of hard to get out. It's kind of hard to stop. You kind of are stuck or locked into bribery, you know. And so with that being said, yes, you can pay your way to stay in Tanzania and these other countries, but you're also going to realize that, you know, don't think you're going to get the good only and not the bad. You got to take the good and the bad with it. So you're going to be stopped, you know, pressure to maybe give money to police officers. You know, when you try to do a basic thing, you may just go out there and try to set up a mailbox, like journey through a Kevlar. You may try to go and set up a mailbox, and the post office person may literally just refuse to do their job until you pay them an extra fee, like a bribery fee, before they do their job. You know, like it can sometimes become a nuisance when you're in TZ. When you try to do basic necessities and everybody just wants more out of you, and it just almost bleeds you dry. You know, it's like a mosquito just sucking the blood out of you, but this time just taking your money, you know, left and right, just to do what they're supposed to do. I tried to go wash one time like a few t-shirts and like some socks, and they tried to charge me 100 USD for it. I had a dry cleaning place, 100 USD for some socks and a couple of t-shirts. And the crazy thing was, I ended up knowing the guy who auntie ran the shop, and once they realized that I knew this dude, then they try to give me a regular price. But it's just crazy, you know, the fact that this is how they'll do people, man. It's crazy. This is how they'll do people. And so be mindful of that, guys. The bribery, like I said, is a two-way street. And this is just for people, like I said. Candy is good. Candy is sweet. Candy tastes nice, right? But candy can give you diabetes. Candy can give you a heart attack. Candy can make you get glaucoma. So these are the type of glaucoma, diabetes, cavity type of situation that you're going to encounter. And so I want people to be fully aware that while bribery is good, it's nice, in some instances, it goes two ways. So there's going to be times when it's annoying. There's going to be times when it's irritating. It's going to be times when it's frustrating, when you just want something to be done the right way without having to pay extra money for this or pay extra money for that, or do the backdoor thing and them taking this time. It just, sometimes you just want it to be smooth, right? And so these are things that I want to be alerting people about. I want people to be aware of them. I want people to know about them, so that, you know, you can make a fully informed decision about your move, right? Especially when you're coming with a family, when you're coming with 10, 20 people, 6, 7 people in your household. You know, who knows how many people you're gonna come with. You should not be making decisions not fully informed, okay? So I do like Tanzania. It's an amazing country. It's a beautiful country, beautiful people, beautiful land. But there is also pain that comes with the beauty, I guess you could say, right? And likewise, you know, I like Egypt. You know, Egypt has a very bad reputation. It already has a bad reputation. So I don't necessarily put it on putting out bad. I focus on, hey, this is some of the good stuff that I have experienced in Egypt. And that's just what I do. So, you know, I try to give the flip side of the coin, you know what I mean? So that way people can make a fully informed decision. And that's what I do on this channel, all right? So if you enjoyed today's video, leave a like on it, subscribe to the channel, and drop me a comment. Let me know, like, are you in Tanzania? Are you moving to Tanzania? What country are you moving to? Everything that I said here might very well apply to the country you're looking at moving to, because Africa, it kind of runs on a similar system, all right? But either way, see you guys in the next one. Y'all willing. Peace.